Hey guys, welcome back to the shop at Vintage Volks. Today on the mill table we got a brand new factory mag case that we are going to shuffle pin. We're going to do all 6 main studs on this guy, and I thought I'd do a quick video and show you how we do that. To hold it up on the table, we've got a couple of cylinders that I cut to length, some long T-bolts, a couple of clamps, nothing too out of the ordinary, but these guys have come in really handy. So we use these to not only do shuffle pins on the main studs, but also when we hold the case up on the mill in order to clearance for a stroke or crank. So maybe we'll do a video on that in the future, show you how we do that as well. But today what I'm going to do is get this guy bolted down to the table, and then I will come back with you and show you the drill plate that we use. Got a little bit of a different format today. I don't have a cameraman, so I'm trying to do all this by myself, so bear with me. Alright, we got the case bolted down on the mill table. It's nice and solid. We got our drill plate out, some hardware that we're going to use to hold the plate onto the case, and then we've got a special end mill that we've made where we dulled the sides of the end mill itself, so once it goes down into the drill bushings, it won't wear out and try to dig out the insides of the drill bushings. Even though these are hardened, I don't want to risk trying to wear them out with these sharp end mills. So for the hardware, I just got a couple of wrist pins that I cut down to length, and some case half bolts and nuts and things to hold the drill plate down on the case. So what we do is we actually use the dowel pins on the 2 case halves, the holes on this side and the dowel pins themselves on the 3/4 side, to match the plate up so we know we're drilling in exactly the same spot on all 6 on both case halves. That way when it goes all back together, everything is perfectly square and everything is in alignment. So when I put this guy down, these pins will line up with the dowel holes on this side of the case. And then when I put it on the other case half, I'll flip it over, and the pins on that case half will line up with the holes on the other side of the drill plate. So I'll put this guy down and I'll be back with you. I've got the drill plate bolted down to the case. I've got the end mill centered in the first hole we're going to drill. And I've got the digital readout zeroed so that as soon as this end mill touches the case and starts cutting, that will read 0. So now I can accurately measure this hole to 600 thousandths deep. It doesn't have to be exactly 600 thousandths, so if we go a few thousandths over, a few thousandths under, it doesn't really matter. As long as this hole is centered exactly in the same place on both case halves, that's what matters. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut this guy. I don't normally use the hand wheel for this. I normally use the quill handle, but so I can stay out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and use the handle on this guy. So I've got it set up to use the handle, crank this guy on, and down we go. There we go, that hole's done, so now we got to do the other 5, and then we'll come back with you. And that's it for the 1/2 side of the case. So we will get this guy pulled off, show you what the inside looks like, and then we'll get the 3/4 side case bolted up and show you how to do that one. Alright, so back on the bench, you can see we've got our 6 holes drilled, 1 on each of the main studs on the 1/2 side of the case. We've got our shuffle pins that we've made. We make these out of a 3/4 inch 4340 round bar, so it's the same stuff that your good quality cranks is made of. Nice and hard. It's going to last a good long time. So these are a nice snug fit right in the hole, plenty of drag going in. And now we'll set up the 3/4 side of the case, and we'll show you the differences. We are back at the mill. We've got the 3/4 side of the case bolted up on the table, and as you can see, we've pulled out the 6 main studs, but we've also pulled out the top cam stud because this one gets in the way as we start to drill this number 1 bottom stud out. So this time when we put the plate on, we're going to put it on upside down. Since we've got dowel pins, we're going to put it on pin side up, and the holes on the bottom will line up with these dowel pins. So we'll go ahead and get that bolted up, and drill them out. Drilling this side is exactly the same as the other side, so I won't bore you with the details on that. Once we get it all drilled out, we'll go back over to the bench and I'll show you how we put it all together. And there's 600 thousandths. Turn that guy off, raise it back up, and this side of the case is finished. So again, we'll get it over the bench and we'll show you how we put it all back together. Alright, so we finished the machine work on both halves of the case. Off camera, we went ahead and test fit the shuffle pins. They fit very well in the case. When you put the case halves together, everything fits great there as well. Everything lines up. So, next up we are going to put the studs back in the case. We've already cleaned up the threads on the studs and in the case with a wire wheel and some brake cleaner. So the first thing we're going to do is put some red Loctite on the studs themselves to put them back in the case. When you do this, be careful though, there are two different length studs. You want the long ones in the top, short ones in the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put those guys together with some red Loctite. We'll check it with another case to make sure the length of the studs sticking out when we're all done is good. You don't want to just drive them all the way in because they'll wind up at different lengths and who knows what happens. So we will go ahead and do that, measure them up, and then we'll come back and put a little sleeve retainer on the shuffle pins themselves, bolt it all back together, and leave it overnight to cure so that we know the shuffle pins fit exactly in the case where they should be during final assembly. So we'll do that, we'll come back and we'll show you what it looks like when it's all assembled. And we are finally done. So I've got the studs put back in. I used my super accurate main stud length checker. Everything lines up very nicely. So I've got the sleeve retainer in, I've got the red Loctite on, and this sleeve retainer is a super strong adhesive. So what I don't want to risk here is I don't want any of the sleeve retainer from here wicking its way across and gluing to the other side of the case. So before I put it together, I'm going to spray a little WD-40, some oil of some sort, on this side of the case, along the face and inside here, so that any sleeve retainer that gets onto this side of the case will not stick. That's my last little trick. So I'm going to bolt this guy together with a little oil on this side, and then tomorrow we are going to weld behind number 3. So if you like this video, please subscribe, like the video, share it on Facebook. Get the word out. Thank you.